This report today from RMC Sport said, breaking, Ibrahim Mbaye to Liverpool is progressing quickly. Bayer Leverkusen are now not expected to push for Mbaye. Also, we had the English journalist, which I don't want to go back over again because we said it so much. Then there was Alex Crook speaking about Cody Gakpo to Spurs, and he said, I don't think it'll happen. Speaking to sources at Liverpool, they think he's had a good pre-season under Iriola. They think he's a player Iriola can get the best out of. I think he probably would be open to the move, but at the moment, that's not one I expect to happen. I don't believe that Liverpool briefed that. Not for one fucking second. I believe that Liverpool aren't getting what they thought they were going to get. And I believe that Liverpool didn't sell McAllister, who they thought they were going to sell, and didn't get the money in. And I also believe that some of this is the knock-on impact from not getting the 35 million quid for Harvey Elliott because of the stupidity of Richard Hughes and the recruitment team and the deal they did with Villa on his loan. Then you've got the players walking out the door for free. Canade, they were happy to let him off the books, but we had to replace him when we get a loan move for Ronald Araujo. Now, don't try and say that the situation with Canade was resolved by Xhaka, because that's been disingenuous. They were still negotiating Canade to stay after they'd agreed to sign Xhaka. So they let Canade go and brought in a loan player. They let Salah go and as of yet have brought in no right winger other than Victor Munoz at 35 million quid. The one that they tried to get, they were led down the garden path on. They shit the bed on Zubamendi. Trent walked out the door for next to nothing. Jones is going for below his full value. Kelleher's gone for less than his full market value. Elliott will go for less than his full market value. Robbo went for nothing. It's madness. Absolute feckin' madness. D Singh, how are you, bro? Said 3 days before the start of the new campaign and we're still faffing around. Disastrous window so far. Yes, exactly. But this is again why I get so animated. Because I start calling this shit out early in the window because I can see the direction it's going. Liverpool think they're being clever, sitting around here and waiting. And it might save them money. It might do. They might save 20 million quid on Barcola. Fair enough. But don't have any pretense that this was a well-managed, well-articulated, well-thought-out window. It's been a shit show. What's your thoughts on a deal for Endrick? So the last thing I'd seen about Endrick was Romano reporting that he's staying at Real Madrid and that had been communicated to Endrick and his representatives. That's the very last thing I've really seen. Before that, he was linked with Roma and a few others. And Liverpool's name did go into the mix publicly, but I didn't have any information on it. So I'm taking Romano with his word there and saying, that he's staying at Real Madrid. But even at that, why are we scraping around like that on potential loan moves and stuff? Like, it's all so tin pot. Rob said, don't forget Gay, Semenyo, Bellingham. I actually agree with why the club didn't sign Bellingham or didn't push to sign him. I actually agree with it. The other ones, look, I'll never understand why they didn't get the Mark A thing done. Semenyo, I didn't really know how serious our interest in him was, but I certainly knew from his side that he felt like he was going to end up at Liverpool, but obviously that never came about. Jad Burke said, is the Mbaye deal really off? According to the English journalists, it's looking very much likely, mate. Yes. Again, apologies I'm going back over it, but I know people drop in and out of the stream, so I want to try and keep everyone up to date. So today, 3 separate reports from the English side of it. One from the Echo, one from the Athletic, and one from, I can't remember if it's the Mail or the Mirror. So Simon Jones said, as it stands, Liverpool are unlikely to pursue an interest in Mbaye despite exploratory talks. The next one from Ian Doyle of the Echo. Liverpool have been looking at Ibrahim Mbaye, but as things stand are unlikely to pursue their interest in the winger. Then you have James Pearce. Ibrahim Mbaye has also been discussed this summer, but senior Liverpool figures insist their interest has only been exploratory today and strongly dismiss suggestions that personal terms have already been agreed. So the English side of it are saying that we looked at him, but nothing seems like we're going to progress through to a bid. When the French side of it, very different. They're saying personal terms have been agreed and that Liverpool want the player. So somebody's going to be full of shit in this, and I suspect it'll be the English journalists, or I suspect that they're not telling the full side of the story and that there's more to come on this and it would lead into Spurs and Gakpo. They're my guesses. Paul said the Echo talk absolute bollocks. The source is as good as sugar-free ketchup. Look, I have long questioned what the point of the Echo is for Liverpool, because they don't seem to want to represent the fans. They seem to want to represent the opinions the owners want out into the world, and don't challenge anything. But then again, if you want your access and you want your interviews and you want your pre-season tours, got to play the game, right? Got to be in the club's pocket. Because if you don't, you're toxic. If you dare ask a question, you're negative and toxic just because you refuse to be a bootlicker. Any news on Barcola? This is just going to be a waiting game. It's a game of chess now, or a game of poker, I should say, between Liverpool and PSG over the feet. That's where we're at now. It's who's going to blink. Is the price going to drop? Are Liverpool going to come up? Are PSG going to come down? That's where we're at. I do think it gets done, but it's looking, again, like it's been a saga dragged out to save some money. Charlie said, Craig, let's be honest, start of the window, we should have sold Harvey, Endo, Jones, Gomez, Costas, Ramsey, and done our business, not messing about. 100% agree. Totally agree, Charlie. Every player on that list I would have sold. Every one of them. I would have probably given Elliott the chance to show what he can do, but after the pre-season that he had, I would certainly be in the selling camp. But everybody else in your list, right, because that's what serious clubs do. They don't look at Costas and try and convince us that he's an upgrade on Robertson, or try to convince us that the only reason he's here is because they're too cheap to go and get a proper backup. But he also has 1 year to go. So they're either going to have to keep him, and again, we're screwed. Because even our first choice left back hasn't exactly set the world on fire yet. Although, you know, he is young and he will improve, and I'm relaxed enough about him on the left. But it's just it. Like, we're constantly being expected to overperform and outpunch against teams who are actually just spending what it takes. Arsenal went out and brought in Bruno Guimaraes into the midfield. That also has Zubamendi in it. That also has Declan Rice in it. So they're not fucking about. Man City aren't messing about. But Liverpool, yet again, what are we doing? 13 weeks of a window. We're into the final 2. 11 weeks of the window have gone by, and all they've done is trigger a release clause for a player that Newcastle were about to sign, and they rushed on. And then after that, they got a loan of Araujo that fell into their lap because Araujo came knocking. So what have they been doing? Why have they been jetting around? What has the recruitment team actually been up to? Why are the journalists telling us building up to the window that they love release clauses because it takes the negotiating out of it? Well, every time the fuckers have to negotiate, it's a saga. Right? Release clauses, you and I could trigger them once we get the go-ahead to pay the money. But when it comes time to doing some fucking negotiating, these lads seem to not have a clue and just pay big money. Speedy Hercules said, I don't rate Wharton, especially for 100 million. One decent season, not enough. Fair enough, mate, and I get that. But it still doesn't change the fact that we do need a DM. Like, I totally appreciate that you might not think Wharton's the one. I don't think Wharton's the best option we could have gone for there. But nobody is the answer that we're getting. You know, whether you think it's Wharton, whether it should have been Elliot Anderson, Buwadi, whomever, the answer is nobody. And that's the disappointing part of all of this, you know. We can all disagree on whether we think the profile of player is the right one to go for. But the answer here is we get nothing. You know, and not only that, we get nothing and we lose a midfielder when Jones goes to Inter. And then that midfielder's place has been taken by Nioni, which I'm all right about because I think it's time for Nioni to step up. But that's the answer. You know, we get nothing. We don't get what we need. We don't get the DM.